So let's talk about how you're going to survive the next few weeks when you are stuck at home with your family and nobody's allowed to go outside. Sound good? All right, so I'm going to give you guys some of my best tips today, and the reason that I'm in a position that I feel like I can and even want to offer you this information is because my wife has been a full-time stay-at-home mom with the kids for the last almost 8 years. We homeschool, so they're home with us most of the time. And then for the last 3 years, I work from home. And so we literally, we live that quarantine life, I guess. You know, obviously, our lives are about to be disrupted just as much as yours are as far as social gatherings and going out and shopping and all this other stuff. But as far as the majority of our day, we spend a good chunk of our time at home together, all around each other. And we've learned a lot of things, especially over the last 3 years since I've been injected into that mix, that are helpful, and I want you guys to be able to benefit from that, because obviously whether it's the next couple weeks or the next couple of months, things are going to be wild, and you're going to have to be able to be adaptable. All right, so the first tip I can give you is to set clear boundaries, and this is especially for those of you who are still working but you're doing it remotely, which means you still have expectations as far as the things that you're supposed to do and get done every single day. This is going to take some adjustments because your kids, their lives are in turmoil. Your spouse, it's different. And most of the time when most of us are all at home together, we've basically all kind of got access to each other all the time. And so you need to be able to set very clear boundaries of, just because I'm physically here doesn't mean that I'm here, and it doesn't mean that I can help or I can pay attention with certain things. And so set those boundaries. One of the easiest ways to be able to do that, especially for your own sanity, is to be able to create a physical boundary. So whether that's like I am today, just out on our front porch, or I've got an office behind me. I do a lot of my stuff in there. But honestly, for the first 2.5 years that I was working on my own, I shared an office, which was basically a desk in my son's bedroom. And nobody was allowed in there. I could shut the door when I was needing to get work done. And then that not only made it so that I had the privacy and the ability to focus and be free of distractions, but having that physical space also makes it easier for you, because you can cross the threshold, which means you mentally, you can go into work mode when you go into work, and then you can step out of work mode when you step out, which leads me to tip number 2. One of the biggest things that a lot of people struggle with is they make this jump, and more so when you're dealing with it from an entrepreneur perspective, but this is applicable for you guys as well, is get out of the I have to work from certain time in the morning till certain time in the afternoon. Stop thinking about work from a time perspective and think about it more from a task perspective, especially because if you're honest with yourself, a lot of the time you're not actually doing work when you're at work. You're just pretending to look busy or trying to look busy for the sake of just justifying the fact that you're there so many hours a day. And I dealt with this for probably like 6 months when I was working on my own, where I felt like I needed to set a schedule and I needed to get work done. And it doesn't work like that. It's going to drive you crazy, because you're going to feel like you're making crap up and you're just doing busy work and it's totally irrelevant. And then you're going to get more frustrated with the distractions from your kids and from your spouse and everything else. And so set a couple of tasks that you want to get done every day, whether that's calls with clients or online meetings with associates, or just certain things that you need to get done every day. And when you're done, be done. Mentally, physically, just clock out. Allow yourself to be totally and completely finished with it. You're probably not going to want to go back to working hourly and thinking about that once this is all said and done, actually. But really, it's so crucial for your sanity, and it's so crucial for your ability to then be able to focus on and help with the other things that are now going to be requiring your attention, so that when you are done with work, you can totally check out and you can help out with the kids, keeping them entertained or playing or learning or whatever it is that you can help them out with. Another thing that you can do that can help out with this mindset of I'm going to work when it's time to work and I'm going to be done with work when I'm not, is do your regular daily routine as far as wake up at a particular time, shower, brush your teeth, get dressed, make your bed. The more normal you can make a routine feel, the more productive you're going to be with that time as you're actually using it. And so, no, that doesn't mean that you need to suit up. It doesn't mean that you need to put your shoes on. It doesn't mean that you need to go all in on this. But it does need to mean that don't just be in your sweats or your pajamas or your gym clothes all day. I have days where I've done that, where my day just kind of gets ahead of me and I didn't get a chance to shower after I got done working out. And it sucks. It kills your mindset. It affects your productivity. And so the more you can give yourself these mental triggers of I'm in, I'm working, I'm ready to go, then the more productive, the more beneficial that time is going to be, and then the easier time you're going to have when you're actually clocked out and you're doing that too. So let's talk a little bit more about what to do when you're clocked out. The first thing and the most important thing I can tell you with it is find some way to move your body every single day. And if you can, find some way to not only move it, but get some exposure to the sun and breathe some fresh air and do that together as a family. Now, right now, we're not dealing with any sort of super strict quarantine, so I went for a run this morning. This afternoon, we're going to eat lunch out on the grass, and we're going to be able to go for a walk in the park. You're not touching anything, you're avoiding intense contact with people, but you can still be out and about and enjoy things like that. If things do get more intense, we're really blessed that we have a full home gym, and so we can continue to work out from home. But if you don't have access to that, then thankfully, basically every single fitness influencer on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and every other social media platform is basically giving away or charging extra cheap prices for at-home workouts. And so capitalize on that, because the more you can move your body, the better you're going to be, not only physically, but the more it's going to affect you mentally and emotionally. And the more it's going to make it easier for you, and especially for your children, to be able to get out some of that energy, get out some of that fear, get out some of that frustration, and you're just going to be able to operate on a much higher level than you would be able to if you're just in front of a screen all day, every day, until we're basically back to normal. That's going to drive you crazy, and you're going to be more short with your kids, you're going to be more impatient with yourself, you're going to be lethargic, you're going to be moody. It's going to suck. So exercise to the greatest extent that you can. Another thing that's really beneficial as far as allowing you to clock in and clock out, helping as far as taking care of the kids and doing stuff like that, is eat your meals together as a family. It's really fun, and it's something that's good for you and it's good for them. And use that opportunity to talk about things. Tell jokes, have fun, play games, do all sorts of stuff like that. Enjoy it, but eat your meals together as a family and get some of that face-to-face time by doing it there. Now, your kids have probably, if schools are closed, which all the schools around us are, your kids have probably been given an indefinite amount of time that you're not going to be going back to school, and they're going to need structure just as much as you do. They're probably not going to be able to work, but honestly, really take advantage of the time to get stuff done around the house. And thankfully, what's nice is that you don't have to be super efficient at it. I now have, I can spend 8 hours replacing a light, and if that means that I take twice as long or 3 times as long to do it because I've recruited my son to help me do it, then all the better, because it's not that big of a deal that the light gets changed so much as it is that I'm teaching my son how to be productive and how to be involved, and he's getting the benefit of, yes, I get to work with dad and I get to do stuff. And so when you have things that need to be done that your children can be involved with, recruit them to help you. And on the other hand, if they have things that need to get done, get involved and help them to the extent that you can. Now, maybe you're totally slammed with work and you don't have a chance to do it. Great, don't feel guilty about it. But if you can, help them out with school. Now, one thing I will tell you with this is maybe they've been sent home with a curriculum, with homework assignments, with everything else. Maybe they haven't. My advice, and take this for what it is, because this is what I would do if I were in your position, I would throw all that out. Yeah, there may be consequences, and you can't hold me accountable for those consequences because you're an adult and you make the decisions that you're going to make on your own. However, I would throw all of that out. And what I would do is I would ask my kids what kind of stuff they're interested in learning more about, and then dive as deep down that rabbit hole as you possibly can with them. If you're watching this, that means you have an internet connection, which means that you have access to YouTube videos and you have access to subreddits and forums and Google searches and everything else. And I guarantee you, it doesn't matter how obscure the topic is that your kid wants to dive deep on, there is going to be hour after hour after hour of free content on there that you can totally nerd out with them. And so, one, they're going to continue learning. It's going to help them be able to, 2, maintain some sense of normalcy and a semblance of, I'm still learning and growing and progressing. But 3, they may fall in love with learning again, because it's no longer this hierarchical, you have to study math for an hour, and then history for an hour, and then English for an hour. But it's, I want to better understand this stuff, so let me dive deep with mom or dad and really get this all squared away. And so, to the extent that you can, be involved with their school. Now, as important as it is that you involve your kids so that they can help you, and that you involve yourself so that you can help them, it's also just as critical to set certain times. For us, it's bedtime. We keep a strict bedtime every night so that my wife and I have time without the kids. It's so important that you are still able to do things as an individual. You and your spouse are still able to do things as a couple. Your kids are still able to do things on their own individually. And then, yes, you also do things together as a family. It's incredibly difficult to deal with all of this physical proximity if that means that nobody has any personal space, either mentally or physically, or that you and your spouse don't have any couple space or any alone time or anything else like that. And so set as strict of a boundary as you can for that. And maybe you've got older kids, and that doesn't mean you have to go to bed and lights out, but you guys need to go to your rooms and you're going to read, you're going to do whatever. But mom and I need some time. And I don't care what you do with that time. I really, there are nights when my wife and I just sit next to each other on the couch and we're scrolling through Twitter together. Just take that time and do what you want to, do what you need to, so that you can connect and that you can decompress and you're ready to tackle the next day. Because however long this lasts, this is going to be trying, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be exhausting. It's going to be mentally very difficult because you're going through something totally new and you haven't learned how to do it and do it well yet. And so the more time you can give yourself to decompress, the more time you can give yourself to connect with your spouse and make sure that you two are on the same team, you're on the same page, and you're tackling this together, the better off you're going to be. All right, the last thing that I'll tell you, and this is probably the most important thing, is that you are the one who sets the tone in the family. If you're nervous and scared and you're freaking out, that's what your kids are going to do. That's probably what your spouse is going to do. If you're looking at this as, sweet, this is now an indefinite vacation and I can eat the crap food and sit in front of a screen and not have to do anything that I don't want to do, then your spouse and your kids are probably going to take that same attitude, which means moodiness is going to go up, contention is going to go up, everything else is going to suck. But if you can treat it as an opportunity, not just as a challenge, but as an opportunity to tackle some things that you haven't been able to tackle before, to connect in ways that you've never been able to connect, to learn things or try things that you've been prohibited from doing based on our routines and our schedules and everything else, then your kids are going to see that in the same way. And arguably, this may be one of the best things that's ever happened to you and your family if you handle it that way. And so it's your job to set the tone. So do it right and do it well. The way that we're tackling this is I'm looking at a couple of different things. I'm going to maintain normalcy as much as I can and where it's appropriate to do so. Where we do have to adapt, where we're forced to do so, we're going to do it. We're going to do it cheerfully, and we're going to do it as quickly and effectively as we can. And when new opportunities present themselves to make our lives even better than they would have been before this whole craziness happened, we're going to pounce on those and we're going to leverage them to the maximum effect that we can. And so I have a feeling, because this is what we've done over the years and this is what we found works really well, and I imagine it's going to be even more acute now, if you can tackle those three things in that way, you will come out better than you were going into this. So obviously, this is very different from anything I've done on my channel. If this is something that you find helpful, and while we're in this situation and you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. If you also have insight and tips or experiences on how to handle this stuff, please comment below and help the other people who are watching this, because this is a weird time for everybody. And the more you can get people to feel like, one, they can handle this, and two, it's an opportunity instead of this major challenge, the better off you're going to be, the better off we're all going to be, and the better we're going to come out of this once things start to normalize. So leave your comments below, and I will see you guys on the next video.